Well, hi guys, how you doing? I hope you're doing great. Thanks for joining me this afternoon or this evening or wherever you happen to be in the world. I've got a really important subject to talk to you tonight about, and I hope I can cram it in 20, 25 minutes because it's something I think that everybody is thinking about, and that is how to create wealth. There's a lot of different definitions of wealth. You could talk about money in the bank. You could talk about as your soul prospers, so shall ye. You could talk about a wealth of relationships. Either way, I would like to say that wealth to me is defined by you have enough to share with everybody that you love. Whether that be a wealth of knowledge, whether that be an abundance of wealth economically, or a wealth of grace, you have such an abundance you're able to share with people. And so I think it's interesting, and we've heard a lot of talks lately about asset development, developing assets. Some people are doing it in Bitcoin, some people are doing it in the stock market, some people are doing it in real estate. We live in an era of great prosperity in our country. It's an opportunity for people to create some dynamic wealth. And those of us that are building companies on the internet or around the internet, we're also seeing a tremendous amount of prosperity. But I don't want to talk about just making money. I want to talk about the things that lead up to creating wealth. And I think that there's a lot of ways to look at the perspective of creating wealth in your life. And so I'm going to talk about 5 types of wealth, if you will, or 5 types of assets, or maybe another way to look at it would be 5 forms of equity. I think a lot of those things have a similar concept to them. When you buy a home and you have a differential between what you owe and what your value is, they call that an asset, or they call it equity position. If you own a company and you have shareholders, or you have a partner, you're in an equity position. So I'm going to talk to you about different types of equity from a perspective that I think will really help you broaden how you're going about things. So I think a lot of people just want to think about how much money they have. How can they make more money? And I think it's important that you look at the things that help you make money. So the first type of asset, or first equity position I want you to think about, is the equity of your mind. I'm an extremely large believer that your income is in direct proportion to your ability to impact people's lives in a positive way. This is why I'm such an advocate of personal development. We've all heard the concept of input, thoughts, words, action, habit, character, destiny, legacy. And it's input that creates thoughts, that creates words, action, habit, character. So it's the input is where it starts, because everything starts in the mind. You bring it in, you have a thought, you talk about it a little bit, probably have a council of leaders, a COL around you, and then you decide to take some action. But it starts off with the wealth in your mind. I heard a story, and I've told a few of it before, about a young man who had failed in business, and he asked his father, he said, "Father, why did I fail at business?" And the father, of course, turned the question around and said, "Well, why do you think you failed at business?" And he said, "Well, I guess I ran out of money." He goes, "No, that wasn't why you failed, right? Well, I guess I hired the wrong people." And he says, "No, that's not why you failed." "Well, I guess I went about my business model the wrong way." And he goes, "No, that's not why you failed." And he says, "Well, Father, tell me, why did I fail?" And he said, "You didn't recruit enough soldiers." And when he first said that, I go, soldiers, I'm thinking about employees or workers or slaves or something. And I realized that he was walking over to his library. He says, every time you read a book, you're recruiting another soldier. You're absorbing what's in their mind. You're taking their wisdom. You're taking what's in their heart. If you've ever tried to write a paper, specifically something that's getting published, the thousands of hours that go into crafting a message, the amount of energy and intense focus on just one chapter is insane. So when you read a whole book of thousands of hours of writing and tens upon tens of thousands of hours of experience, you're recruiting a soldier. And so the first equity position, the first focus of equity is your mind, because if you think about it, why does a lawyer make a lot more money? Because they have a great mind. Why does a doctor or surgeon make a lot more money per hour? Because they have such an intellectual asset. Now, for those of us that aren't pursuing the S quadrant in the world, maybe as a lawyer, a doctor, or other types of scientific areas of great brilliance, we're pursuing different types of development. Your ability to make impact may be based upon your ability to take what's in here and turn it into some form of a call to action. And so you have to fill your mind up. This is why if I were to brag about something in my life, and I'm not a big bragger, but I would say I'm proud of something, I would say it's a fact that I've listened to an audio every day for probably 30 years. I've read almost every day, if not every day, for an average of 20 minutes to an hour for 30 years. I've met with my mentors, and I mean mentors, at least 2, 3, 4 times a month, and oftentimes more than that, for 30 years. And so the amount of information, the intellectual asset, the equity position I have is here because people don't want to get around and listen to you if you have nothing to say. You got to have some value. People don't care what you know until they know what you care. What does that mean? Once they know you care, they need to know what you know. And if you don't know anything, then the value isn't extended, right? You have a great friendship, but in terms of impacting lives, if we're talking about creating dynamic wealth, you got to have some knowledge power. And so this is why I want to just strongly recommend strong audio, strong reading, strong counseling habits. And every time you get a chance to get around someone and have a learning lunch, do it. Every time you get a chance to attend a seminar of a great speaker, do it. Because this is what will allow you to have impact. The second type of equity I'm talking to you about is the equity of those that we would call within your social capital circle. Social capital meaning the people you could call upon for a favor. I've often heard from people that went to college, and I wasn't one of them, but those who went to college said, well, look, perhaps the greatest thing out of college wasn't the education, but it was the contacts. It was the judge, the lawyer, the architect, the engineer, the politician, the scientist. It's the people you know. I've recently gone through a little bit of a health challenge with my vision, and I got some pretty rough news a while back, and so I called one of my social capital friends, a gentleman I used to coach baseball with. And he had me into his office, and I was seeing a specialist, and my images were being sent around the world to make a proper diagnosis, and I was able to capitalize on that social capital. And so there's an equity position we have in creating these dynamic relationships. Sometimes they're family, sometimes they're close friends. If you see people that engage into business and they just have just boom, 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 just quick success, it's because they have developed the second asset in their life, and that is a great close COL, a council of leaders, or a great group of people around them. I have a friend of mine who is in the biotech industry, and he says that he could raise $100 million in probably half a day. That he knows so many people that have dynamic wealth, that he's made a lot of money for, hundreds of millions of dollars for, that he has such a network of people that if he has a great idea or a great idea that comes to him, he can quickly generate $100+ million. That is some social capital. I'm not talking about getting a free lunch. I'm not talking about getting a free hot dog down the street. I'm talking about social capital where people have buy-in. They trust you. They like you. They know that when you say something, it has integrity and honesty and purpose. And so some people have a tremendous amount of social capital. And when they say, let's go, there's an army of people behind them to go. And if you don't have that, then go build it. Go build it. Serve people. Encourage people. Empower people. Connect with people. Build friends. Authentic, genuine friends. Add value to them. You have a long life ahead of you. Make contacts. They may call upon you. You may call upon them. And if you have enough value on what's going on here, you will be a great value to them. It might be in the area of marriage. It might be in the area of health. It might be in the area of finance. It might be in the area of people that know people that know people. But you have this intellectual asset, and then you have this asset of this close sphere of influence. The third equity position I'm going to talk to you about developing is what we would call those extended network friends. Maybe social media. I guess you would say that Gary Vaynerchuk has a tremendous asset in his influence on the internet. He's an internet sensation. You could look at guys, Simon Sinek, that has a tremendous following as a result of his golden circle. TED conferences have a tremendous buy-in. So maybe you've done a TED Talk, or maybe you've spoke around the world, or maybe you're super active on Instagram or Snapchat, or you're a big-time Twitter. But I want to encourage you to create an asset in this social media, even though that's kind of a weird word for it. But from LinkedIn to Instagram to Snapchat to Twitter to all the different formats of YouTube and TED, when you get a chance to add value, add value. Share a message. I don't care if you're 20, 21, 22, or 17 or 18, or you're 700. Take the time. I love getting on the internet and watching interviews of people that are 60, 70, and 80 years old that have all this success and never did anything on the internet until the last 5 years when it finally reached a stage where they could take this years and years of these assets they developed and pour them into the internet and create this incredible wealth on the internet. Tai Lopez, there's another example of a gentleman that has incredible asset, equity position in influencing people in the world. And you know how that happened? They built on the first two tiers of creating assets. They built a strong mind, they built great relationships, and then they built a network around them of tens of thousands, of hundreds of thousands, and ultimately millions of people. And there's great value in that. I have a friend of mine, a family friend of mine, I'll call them the McKenna family, starting with Peter. Peter's been in business for, I don't even know, maybe 30 or 40 years. He's influenced people around the world. He has tremendous influence and he's become a mentor of mine. And he has two wonderful sons and daughter-in-laws that have spoken into my life as friends and family. And the influence they have because they have taken such an interest in developing themselves, developing their family, that now they have this global outreach influence. And that's what it's about, folks, is an equity position in impacting people's lives. And believe it or not, there's a tremendous value in that. I have a dear friend of mine, his name's Wayne Player. He's Gary Player's son. He used to coach me in golf. He just launched a new internet company, an app, if you will, that's involved in golf and creating amateurs and events. For those of us that are super busy, that can't afford to show up 2 or 3 day weekend because we've got things going on with our families, but you can play a tournament one day here and one day there and then merge your scores and then have this great venue of getting mentorship from the Player family. Just tremendous influence because of years and years and years of Gary and family pouring into the world of golf. And now he has this incredible equity position of influence around the world. That's what we're trying to accomplish. And it's never too late to start. It's never too early to start. Your ability to impact people's lives through this massive internet connection is amazing. And that relates you to the fourth level. And the fourth level is when you begin to build a customer base. And I know people don't like the word customers because customers are sales, but let's be honest. Everything is customers and everything is sales, right? I mean, come on. I sold my wife, right? That sounds weird, but I showed her my best. I showed her what life would be like if she married me, right? I sold her on the reasons to take a chance on me, right? Anything we do is kind of sales, and I know it's kind of maybe the wrong word, but I think you get my point. That we're all going to build a company. Every single one of you listening to this message have got to be in the pursuit of creating a company. And so you're going to have customers. I don't care how you look at it. And maybe they have different names for them, right? Maybe they have, like Starbucks calls them partners. Disney calls them cast members. Some people might call them partners. I don't know what other words for employees, but I think you get the idea. Is that they have different terms for these people that are in your business, and some of them are employed, some of them are contract, and some of them are straight up partners, and some of them are franchise owners. But the fact of the matter is, we all need to build a network of people that come together with this purpose of developing a company, a revenue stream. And in today's world of internet, there are companies that are willing to pay significant amounts of money to people that have tremendous influence in hundreds or thousands or even dozens for that small amount, but for the big part, for thousands of people. And so if you build a great intellectual asset, you create a close-knit circle of an equity position, then you build a social position, then you can begin, or at the same time, if you will, build an influence as a company. Because the only way we make money is when we can convince someone to take the money from their pocket and put it somewhere else. I don't care if it's buying a piece of real estate or buying a stock or buying a golf ball or paying for a lesson or an education or an experience or an event. People have to trade money. And you call it what you want, but that's what's building company. It's amazing. People say, well, I don't like to sell. You can forget ever having a business if you're in the mindset, I don't like to sell. I think what you're saying is you don't like to convince people to do things they don't want to do. Well, nobody wants to do that. And any company that thinks they can start their business on the concept of convincing people to do what they don't want to do is wrong. But, as we all know, like Steve Jobs says, people don't know what they want until you show it to them. So you can call that sales if you want. Sales to me is not convincing someone. Sales is getting someone to join you on a mission to get what they want. You're a problem solver. And the problem solvers need to make more money. The problem solvers need to save more money. The problem solver is they need more mentorship. They need more training. They got to have a better marriage. They need to lose weight. They need to gain weight. They have a stronger mind. They need to hit a better golf ball. They need mentorship. They need to be coached. They need something. And the way we make money in America, anywhere in the world, is we fix problems. We fill needs. And so building a company around the concept of helping people get what they want by solving their problem. And that's the idea of building a network, right? That's what a company is. It's a network of people that are combining their purposes to crowdsource a solution. If it's to make money for a nonprofit or make money for a profit, you're crowdsourcing. You're getting large numbers of people to come together to do something for a universal purpose. Sometimes that purpose is fun. Sometimes that purpose is feeding people in a third world country. The difference is we're just making an impact in the best way we know how, and that's what companies are about. So that's the fourth level of creating equity. And the fifth type of equity we talk about is that of as a mentor. Mentors, people have been there, done that. The Greeks came up with the word mentor, meaning you went to war, you battled for 5 years, you came home, which means you survived, and you earned the title mentor. You can now go out and impact people's lives. I talked about the Player family. Gary Player, I believe, is the winningest pro on the professional golf tour of the world. Won more events than any professional golfer in the world. That's pretty significant. So now he is a mentor, right? You see a lot of people come from great basketball skills to being great coaches, right? In the business world, you create a dynamic amount of success and then you become a mentor. And guess what? You can run companies as a mentor. You can mentor mentors, right? You could become an international speaker. You could become a coach, a consultant. I have a friend of mine who's climbing the ladders through Amazon. He was in the military. He managed a major restaurant. He got picked up in the auto industry. Then he got picked up by Amazon. And now he's on a fast track for a VP position. And he's made such an investment to his mind that he is being tracked to be a consultant. Probably to eventually, I would guess, start his own company, split away, and coach companies around the world on the things that he's mastered, because he enters in the first level. Build your mind, build your close network, build your extended network, build a company, become a coach. If you've ever heard the 5 S's of life: starvation, stability, success, significance, surrender, right? We know starvation, you're broke. We know stability, you make a little money, you got a job and things are going okay. Then you become successful, and now people say you're doing pretty good, and you got some time, and you got some money, you're making some things happen, and most guys stop right there. But the real symbol of life is not what you become, it's what you create around you, and that's the level of significance. And once you reach your level of significance and you live in this world, you begin to answer Mark Twain's question: the 2 greatest days of your life, the day you're born, the day you realize why you're born. You come to this place in your life when you know that you can now live a parallel life, a congruent life. What you do and what you love become consistent. Most people have a very perpendicular life. They do what they got to do to make money, but this is how they want to make a difference. And they're at cross purposes because this says make money, this says make a difference, and oftentimes they crash. If you can straighten those lines out to live a parallel life, that what you were born to do is what you do, now you're living a life of surrender, the ultimate sign of surrender. Also known as praise and worship, but for the most part, I surrender. What does that mean? I know why I was born. I know why I'm here. I've answered Martin Luther King's question, that is, what will be my contribution? The most pressing question on every man's heart. That is how you begin to develop a major impact in the world. 5 levels of equity. Finishing with mentor, starting off with student. I challenge you with everything that I have and everything that you can be. Invest into these 5 components of equity. Don't just try to make money in a house. Don't just try to make money in stock. Make money here. When you can finally take an idea and craft it. My brother's an amazing musician. He gets an idea. He starts, writing lyrics. Maybe it's the chorus, maybe it's the main, and then he starts hearing instruments. And then he adds instruments. And then he gets his leaders around him, and they start beginning to play it and pluck at it and move and this and that. And before you know it, out of their mind, they create this amazing song and music that impacts people's lives. That's what I'm talking about. Using the asset here to create asset out there. If you feed it here, you'll create something great out here. All kinds of ways to make money in our country. There's never been a time like now. The internet has opened up an opportunity for us to share ideas at the speed of thought. Here we go, folks. Let's go make some money. Let's go build equity in these 5 positions. Can't wait to hear your stories. Can't wait to have you right back. Send me a text. Send me an email. Reach out to me. I can't wait to hear about what you're working on. I'm excited for you. I'm proud to be with you. We're doing great things. Let's go build our companies. Let's make an impact. Let's go make a difference. Let's go save some lives. I love you guys. Thanks for being my friends. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.